essentially convicted in the media. You don't have to read but a few articles to see how negative they are about him. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Brian's innocent. Your Honor, Brian is innocent.
This ain't no ordinary stream. From the ashes, Phoenix talk.
Good morning, everyone. Boy, that graphic looks awful. I will fix that. There's a Phoenix fireball for you. Good morning. Happy Saturday morning, every single one of you beautiful people. How is everyone in the nest this morning? Wow, we are going to look at Idaho for email gate. We are reviewing the rest of the emails. This is part 2. And boy, there's some interesting things in these Pullman emails. And I am just glad I woke up this morning. Happy to see everyone. Dina's in the house. Amanda, Don Rosa, writing down the rabbit hole. Nice name. Amanda B's in the house. Lisa K. Good morning, everyone. I know it's a Saturday morning, a little early for some, and writing with the writing down the rabbit hole says, I finally get to catch a live. Well, welcome in, Tina. Lovely picture. So let's do this. I'm wondering, good morning, Eyes Wide Open. Katie, good morning. I'm wondering who is in this nest this morning that is super duper farthest away. Who is from overseas? Anyone overseas? Lori, welcome in. She says Lori Bug is here. Katie, good morning. Good morning, you early risers. Rebecca, good morning. How are you guys? Boy, this case just blows me away every single day. The more I look at, the more information that comes out, the more we uncover. Wow. You know, I had a message last night. I can't stop thinking about this case. I basically told her, I said, look, just go ahead and the best thing that you can do is just give it and let it go and at least get sleep or rest for at least one night. I will tell you, there's a lot of people being shaken up about what is being shared. I mean, all it is facts and evidence that has been released from these major police departments, law enforcement, watching from the UK, Netherlands in the house. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, it blows my mind. It really does, because, you know, sometimes people just see what's on the surface. You don't look below, you'll never see it. And it has been wild. So let's get into the email trails, because these emails are going to knock your socks off. But before we get into that, I want to show you something that was in the emails that we reviewed in part 1. And this is exactly what we're talking about. A lot of people are saying, oh, if Kohberger is innocent, like you heard in the entry audio video that I shared, is Ann Taylor saying, Your Honor, my client is innocent. He is innocent, factually innocent. We reviewed a few days ago what factually innocent means. And here we have an email that we reviewed the other day that hopefully will put this and make sense to people who don't get it. Okay? So in this email, RJ Lott and Sean Wells are communicating via text. This is a text message. And this was before Kohberger's announcement that there was going to be a plea deal. But here's the deal, guys. The plea deal wasn't announced until that night. This is an earlier email during the day at 11:45 that they had already gotten news that Kohberger was taking a plea deal. Then we heard about it that night, and then it was scheduled for 2 days later, and it shocked a lot of people. Look at the timestamps. So here is RJ Lott, and this was the analysis of communication from Ring Central Social Media Archive. And what you see here is the tone of this email starts light and humorous. It demonstrates camaraderie. These are two guys that work together that trust each other. And both officers joke about incidents like aliens landing, and then the tease about a Goonie face meme. This is casual tone that shifts abruptly when RJ asks, who's the lowest bidder? And then Sean responds in the same minute with a major news update. Kohberger is going to plead guilty to all counts to avoid the death penalty. This indicates that even during the cutoff, off the cuff, goofing around, chatting, that the high profile Kohberger case was on the top of their minds. Think about it. They're talking about work, who's the lowest bidder, and then bids open 7-2. There's no bid yet. Bids open 7-2. And then he says, saw that big news here in Boise. Roger on the bid. Now, I don't know what kind of personal relationship these two have, but this email is very telling. This is their day-to-day functioning within the organization in the city of Pullman, right? And remember, who was RJ Lott? RJ Lott was the community development, right? The director. And Sean Wells, I just have to look him up again because I've already forgot who he was. I got to sneeze too. He's the city administrator. So these two professionals are talking back and forth, and that's the first thing on their mind. Hey, Kohberger's going to plead guilty to all counts to avoid the death penalty. And people don't understand. There are innocent people that plead guilty all the time to avoid X, Y, and Z. And why do they do that? Because the alternative is worse than the offer. And remember, prosecuting attorneys, district attorneys, they make the offer. They make the offer. I can understand why the defense was so adamant to take the death penalty off of the table. And we'll get into that when we talk about the autism spectrum. We're going to have a live panel. I'm going to have some guests on. I'm trying to narrow it down what time and date works best for the guest. That will be coming up this week. So just keep in mind, innocent people do plead guilty to avoid the death penalty. So let's get into these emails because this is going to be a lot, guys. I'm just going to tell you right now. There are several emails I'm going to pop open and we're going to take a look at. So let me just grab these. Let me take this off and let me see if I could share this. Because some of these emails were in such a fashion. Let me see if I can share this screen. Yes, I can. Okay. So any questions in regards to the emails that we went over the other day? Anyone at all? Good. It seems like we are all here. We are all listening in. And let me go ahead and do this. Let me see if I can get this a little bit bigger. So this is the first email in the zip file. It was pretty big. And I posted just a real quick summary, which I'm going to go into my next video later today about Kohberger's dusting of the car, his pictures, the Bolo, the emails associated with that. But this email started on November 26th in the file. And this is Chris Engel. He's a detective with the Pullman Police Department. And this is going to Jeff Gordon. And this was based off a confidential email that was started by Aaron Brashers. He was, or maybe still is, if anybody knows, drop it below. He was with the Pullman Police Department. And basically they say that they're on the lookout for 2012 to 2013. And they agreed according to the Moscow Police Department and the FBI. It's light colored, either white, tan, or silver. Please Bolo that vehicle. Do not run the plates through Whitcomb, which was odd. Run it through MDC. Do not discuss what you're doing over the radio. Do not ask Whitcomb to do anything regarding this matter. Hey guys, this is highly sus, right? Keep track of what you find. Sergeant Engel has been assigned as the Pullman liaison with Moscow PD. Relay all information to him. Do not discuss or disseminate this information with anyone outside this building. Marked confidential. Marked confidential. And then he said, okay, well, what case number? And then he says, pull another case number as a placeholder, but maintain everything in a separate Word document to maintain confidentiality. They didn't want this on the record, folks. They didn't want this. When the sensitive nature of this ends, an arrest is made, update the case with your work at that time. See, because every police department has to maintain a log of when they work on a case. They're telling them, don't put in the system, guys. Keep it in a Word document, separate off of Spillman, separate off of whatever system they're using to document. And what do I mean by that? Let me show you real quick. Let me show you an example so you understand what I'm talking about. So, when you have an entry into the system, whatever system the police departments are using in that area, what they do is they go down and they log in every single thing that they do in regarding a case. And in order to do that, you have to have a case number. When you have a case number, then you can establish a history of that case. And when I say a history of that case, everything that took place on that case. And let me show you a sample report. This is the report of 1122 4-person, quadruple homicide. This report starts at 11:58:29 when a call was taken for the unalivings. And you can see consecutively as the report goes on, every single function of this report is logged. They say, receive the call, change from 95E to 95-1. If you want to know what those call numbers are, you can go Google it. There's all kinds of websites like this one that you can see that tells you all the codes for these police departments. Some do, some don't. So that you can understand what you're reading and looking at. And then an example is M170 says he's en route to this call at 11:58:46. So every single minute, every activity that's possible to be logged is logged. Well, who is M70? If you go up in the report, the original report, scroll all the way up, M70 is Mitch Nunez. So hopefully you guys can see that. There's a correlation with everything in these logs that log individuals. So if this is, let's just say, how many times did Rosendahl, I'm just throwing this out there, how many times did Rosendahl go back at the scene of 1122 where the crime occurred? Well, you can go look. His number is 177. You can go down and look at the report 177, and you can see where he visited the crime scene during the actual processing of it. So 177, the first time that he appeared on scene in the log legally was on the 14th at 4:51:44, assisting unit M, and then it cuts off, right? He went to go assist. And then he's there at 5:57, and something about the plates with A, state Idaho plates, perhaps. And then he does an inquiry name AM. Inquiry name A, last name M. Okay, so you can see, and he says completed that, whatever. And the case number is right beside it in everything they've done in this case. So that was an example. Okay. Now, when you look at this, he comes back, does a perimeter check, comes back, completed the incident, and does whatever else he needs to do. So that's an example of what they're talking about. They're saying, okay, we don't want you to put this in the database. We want you to keep this separate because that's what we want you to do. Okay? Don't put it in the system because then everyone's going to be able to see it. So they're saying, I want to keep this confidential. So everyone, okay, well, we'll do that. So, and they want them to update the case with your work at that time. So once they have a case number, then they can put all their notes in there and say, okay, I did this, this, and this, right? And they want you to attend a briefing at 5:30 rather than 4 o'clock. And they will be asking for a WSU liaison as well. This was on the 25th of November, guys. Okay? 25th of November. They already knew that they were going to be arresting someone. And this is the really odd thing. When you go through these emails, they had possible 2 other suspects before they arrested Brian Kohberger. And I'm telling you this because we're going to go through this and you're going to be like, who the hell is Stephen Hain? This highlighted, who knows where Stephen Hain is? Have we contacted him since 10/4/22? And I kept saying, who is Stephen Hain? So I did a little search last night and I found his LinkedIn. Okay. Here's Stephen Hain, lives in Moscow, electrical control engineer, chemist, scientist, and research, right? He was a custodian at the University of Idaho full-time. Clean bathrooms, deep cleaned a variety of buildings on the main UI campus. Okay. He was a research assistant before that. So how do you become a research assistant and then go to cleaning bathrooms? Something's not right here. Okay. Before that, he was an electronic assembler at, and I've seen this laboratory before. You guys can all read it for yourselves. If you can see what I'm sharing, take a screenshot. You can go down that rabbit hole if you want. He was a lifeguard and he was a teaching assistant at Lewis and Clark College, part-time. Graded genealogy papers, assist with genealogy and earth materials, mineralogy. Great. Volunteer firefighter. Yeah, something's not right over in this area of the world. And then you can go and see that he's worked or has interest in the USDA Forest Service. Okay. So that's an example. And when you look at the history of what they've shared in the emails and go do a search, this guy had asked for a request from the police department in regards to a specific case with Stephen Hain. And in that case, it says that he was arrested in this picture, specifically right here. He was throwing knives at a tree and he was trespassing on someone's private property, living out of his vehicle. And he had some knives on him. They arrest him. The videos go and they show that they arrest him, and they are available for you in this file, in the email file. This is part 2. Okay. And they're asking basically not to share this information with the general public, guys. Okay. But where's the car? And then they say the car might be white, silver, or light gray. And another possible color is light bronze, but that's highly unlikely. Please add the cars you find to Love's spreadsheet. Well, there's a spreadsheet embedded in these, and let me pull it up for you so you guys know. And that was the one that I put out last night. Love's spreadsheet. I don't know if it'll pull it up and you can see it, but it basically had cars on there that were highly sus. And let me just grab this out of my file so you can see it. Let's see if it'll present on stage full. That's bad. That's a bad picture. Hold on. Let me go back. Let me see if I can get an actual picture. A little bit better than this because this is bad. Let me see. Loves. No, it was marked confidential. Hold on. And obviously it's become public knowledge since they've released it to the public. It's no longer confidential. Keep that in mind. There is a disclaimer here. Let's see if I can pull up a better picture. No, that doesn't look good either. Shoot. Dang it. In this, let me see if this one will pull up better. I tried to save it. Higher. Yeah, that's a higher quality. Okay, thanks for hanging in there. Remember, this is a live dig. So this was in Love's spreadsheet. It was a list, and that is a this is not the expanded one, but it's better looking at this than the other one that was provided that was really bad. And here is a full copy of it. And there is a list of vehicles and the general address of location, not specific address, the address. So they asked for a video, and this is the spreadsheet they were keeping of the cars that appeared in this specific video. Okay. Now, in this report, the one that really stood out to me was the Colorado license plate with the specific VIN number that was gold, and it was near a parking lot, no front or rear plate, paperwork viewable in rear window, said it was purchased on 11/16/2022 in Denver, Colorado. Why is this significant? Well, because this car could have been the car in the video that we see going in and out on 1122, allegedly, that there were no front or rear license plate. The paperwork was in the rear view mirror. And when you see that car on video, they have blurred out everything. Totally blurred out everything. And the original Bolo for the car that I posted last night, I don't know if you've seen that one. The original Bolo was not for a car without a sunroof, but it was for a car that specifically had a sunroof. And in the pictures that they've released to us, that car did not have, the original car did not have a sunroof, but in the video, this is a bad picture too. In the video, the car does have a sunroof. I think we're all smart enough to kind of see what's going on here, right? They substituted the car. We've always thought they did. We thought that they blurted out to hide something, which they possibly have. But how could we prove that? How could we prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt that that was not his car? Well, by logic, this is a better picture. Totally by logic. And when you look at the history and the evidence of these emails, you see, man, this isn't even possible. They did get the wrong guy. Well, we know they got the wrong guy because something else was being hidden. And I have a feeling, allegedly, the reason that this has happened is because those guys in the original, allegedly, I just have to say that, those guys in the original MP police report basically had to CYA their butts, in my humble opinion, allegedly. And what do you mean by that, Phoenix? Well, if you go look at the report of the plain clothes officers, right? They say that they ended their duty, their shift. They ended their duty and their shift at a certain time. And that time, I'll share with you right now so you can see it. That time was so suspicious because they ended their shift at 3:52. Why did they end their shift at 3:52? Anybody's wild guess. This is all speculation right now on this live dig. Why do you think that they ended their shift at 3:52? Why did they end their shift? Any guesses? Any guesses? I'll wait to see if the chat catches up. Then we'll go back to the original email. Why did they end their shift at 3:52 if they started at 9? 6-hour shifts, 7-hour shifts, 6 hours with an hour lunch or break. They do that they want to do, so it wouldn't be on their watch. What if I told you the murders may have already happened on their watch and the city would be liable? Think about this. If it happened on their shift, they would be responsible because what did it say in the report that they did? They did alcohol and drug offenses. They were looking for minors in possession of these items. What was found inside that home on the crime scene photos? What was found in that home on the crime scene photos? Yeah. Think about this. No, not because they'd have to do paperwork, because they'd have to admit that it happened on their shift when they were supposed to be patrolling. And look what this says. This patrol was for minors in possession, consumption of alcohol, along with other alcohol, drug offenses. They operated under plainclothes detail. They didn't have a dash camera on the vehicle. And they made several patrols through the area of King Street and Queen Road. Putting them in that location and not focused on what possibly happened, that would make sense. At 2:52, Kaylee calls Jack, and what happens? We see Kaylee calls Jack, guys. What happened? He can't remember a 17-minute call. What is up with that? He can't remember a 17-minute call. He admits that on his phone that there was a call, a 17-minute call, and he thought he might have just hit the alarm, slid the alarm over and answered the call. Can't remember the actual call. And the officer asked him, the ISP, he says, basically the detective says, okay, do you have any memory issues? Do you remember that document? I think it's 470, hold on, that's page 474. Let me grab it real quick and I'll pull it up so you guys can see this document for yourself. 474, 168 supplement. Here we are. All these witnesses talked about him. They go and they ask, okay, not only did he interview them, he lives, yada, 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 asked what happened, and I'll go ahead right here and I'll say this. He goes back and he says, that was when they went to go collect right here. He had no argument, but the last text message was from Kaylee at 2:15 telling him that he had his vape and that he could come pick it up at her house. And when you look at this, a call at 2:26 a.m. that lasted 17 minutes. Now, I did this the other day. You take 2:26, the incoming call, and you add 17 minutes to it. 2:26 plus 17 is 2:43. What happens at 2:43? Well, if and only if part of the Linda Lane audio is correct, and I'm not talking about all the other odd things that are happening with that audio that may have been altered. If that Linda Lane audio is true and authentic, which no one has confirmed, no one has said it's authentic, no one has released it like the police or any agency. If it is correct, that aligns exactly with Kaylee being heard at 2:42, 28 seconds on Linda Lane shouting, "Help me." Help me. Right here, the last text message. And then I advised there appeared to be a telephone call at 2:26. It's black and white, number 14, between Blank and Kaylee. It lasted 17 minutes the night before. The night before was that night. They took this report on what day? Look at the date. He's writing it the night before. This was on the 12th. So that Sunday night would be the night before. So that would be that night because it says on the 15th I interviewed. How could he have a phone call with her the day, the 14th, if she passed away on the 13th, that early morning at 2:26 a.m.? He did not recall the phone call and could not explain it. He said maybe in his sleep he thought it was an alarm and he pushed the side of the button of the phone to turn the ringer off. So are what you saying that phone call was made at 2 a.m. on the 12th, the night before Friday night, and not the night before on Saturday? Because I can go back. I'll reread it. If I'm wrong, please do tell me, point it out, because it says, in looking at the phone records, there had been several text messages the night before between Blank and Kaylee. So are you saying that the way this report is written, that the officer was taking a note the night before, because I asked to describe his whereabouts in events leading up to the time of the homicides that occurred on Saturday at 12. He advised he worked that night. So is that in fact the night before, the Friday night, and not the Saturday night? Because you go down to read this even further. They go in, talk to him on the 18th, the 21st, the 22nd. They find the blood, possible gun residue, possible blood in the kitchen. Remember who his roommate was, guys. It may have not have been him, but remember who his roommate was. Adam. I told Adam everything. Yeah, some of these reports are poorly written, and no one's released the actual phone logs for them. Okay, so Kay, you're saying it was the night before the homicide. Phone records did not have a completed call to JD on Saturday night. It wouldn't be Saturday night. It would be early Sunday morning. So the way he wrote this report was the night before. The night before. So KM and JD were texting the night of Saturday, but the phone call and the vape text were Friday before. Who was the roommates with Adam? Well, that was JD, Kaylee's old ex-boyfriend from 3 months prior. So you have to look at, when you look at a document, you have to look at them consecutively. So if that was the case and they had already had somebody in this original email identified on the 25th of November, everyone keeps saying, well, JD's so sus, how come he didn't get charged? Well, if this is accurate, then the murders happened before these guys clocked out, and that's when they came up with the timeline between 4 and 4:25. I mean, typically, how long does an undercover plainclothes parole officer go in and look at how long have they been doing this? What is a normal shift? What is a normal shift? We don't know, because those are unanswered. So then they hurry up, log out, finish their call, and move on, because these two guys went to another call at 3. Oh gosh, hold on, let me look at my notes. They went to another call at 3:16. They left Taylor. They left and went to go interview at 3:34 the sweater guy. And that call was longer than a few minutes. But then they say they clocked out at 3:52. Sweater guy being Hayden. Remember the sign guy? He had taken the sign. Does anybody remember that? I don't remember what time that was done. Yeah, typically off-hour duties usually are 8 hours with an hour. Well, it just depends on the police department. I mean, my ex-husband would do an 8-hour shift. If he didn't eat lunch, they would pay him through. It just depends on the police department and what their budget looked like for overhead time. So yeah, the guy with, let me see if I can find that footage real quick since we're on a live dig. Let me see what I can find. Body cam. And I don't know for sure, I think it's Hayden Villa. I don't know for sure if they even have the sign guy. Hold on. I don't know what it's categorized as. Somebody has it out there, though. I've seen the body cam. Let's see what I can find. I know somebody had it. Sign guy. There's the motorcycle guy. There's sign guy. I think it's titled sign guy, isn't it? Let's see. Sign guy. Moscow. Oh, where is it? Where is it? November 13th. Someone has to have this. I think I've only seen it with 2 people. Did they take it down? Anybody have a link to that? Sign guy. Here's. Nope. I think Axum would have it. Jay Embry has the. Let me see. Sweater guy is Hayden. Yeah. Let's see. So you think Jay Embry? Let me see what he's got. Let's see. I have looked all over YouTube. There is no sign guy. Hold on. There's another creator that had it before too. So weird. Nope. I guess it just disappeared. Got every other freaking video popping up except for sign guy. I was looking to see what time they got done with that, to see what time they reported they finished their duty shift. Where is sign guy? I even searched Hayden. Body cam. I don't even see it in Jay Embry. Am I missing it? Come on. I know they ended their body cam at Banfield at 3:16. They pull off at 3:19 and they go to this other call with the sign guy outside the apartments. All right, guys, I need your help. Anybody got a link? Dispatch 9 on the channel all the time, 5 immediately. I think they claimed 3:54 or something. Yeah, this says that they logged out at 3:52 hours. 3:40, 3:31 to 3:40. You know, I thought that call to Hayden was a little longer. Truth and transparency. Let me see if Lana has it. Let's just check it out. Let me go through her videos. Is it a video or is it a live stream? Maybe let me check videos first. Look at her. I'm searching through her entire playlist. Let's see what I find. Harsh, camera, Opaka. I don't see Hayden. Hold on. Is this the sign guy? Yes. Okay. In here.
From the actual.
Up and then be like, we're walking back.
Well, if you want to get this, I'll get this guy a second.
Okay. Okay. Hayden is, yeah. Is your guy 21? All right, Hayden, you're free to go. You head back inside. You're just going to hang out a bit. You're going to get a second.
He doesn't work for
That's 3:38. They end.
Well, thank you. Again, go back.
I literally just was meeting him half. When you say that,
You know, hey, this is his story and he's sticking to it.
Unable to stand up near where you found it, at least set it on the sidewalk because it's a sidewalk close.
I'm not gonna throw it on the road, I promise.
Okay.
How much does the citation go for right now for this?
Okay.
I told him it probably would have ended up.
It's on you, bud.
Oh, I know it. I know it.
What's your degree in?
Secondary ed.
Oh, right on.
Yep.
You got any jobs lined up after school?
Yep. I do.
Where at?
Clark Fort,
Oh, really?
Idaho.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. You know where that is?
I know the general area, but I've never been there. So.
It's a really cool place. My dad taught there.
Oh, really?
Okay, can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
How'd you guys know
Know what?
that I did that? You just drive by and see it?
Yeah.
Or-
Let me
I'm just wondering.
Let me preface this by how many drinks you had tonight. How many beers you had tonight? Like quite a few. You're not going to get in trouble for
It's
it.
not like quite a few. No, I know. I'm 21. I can
Yeah,
drink.
no, it's fine.
But probably like 7 total, I guess.
Yeah.
But shots wise, I don't know. No.
Yep. So you're fine.
I'm not too fucked up to where like I don't
Okay.
know what the fuck's going on.
Let me tell you from our point of view. It's almost 4:00 in the morning.
It really is. I walked the girl home from the bar.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a Saturday night.
I know.
Kids are out everywhere. We see two people that look like college kids carrying a
Why
sign.
is this guy's mouth moving but not matching the audio? Has anyone noticed that? And who's this sweater guy right here? Not the other sweater guy that has the knot on his head. Who's this guy? Who is this guy? This is interesting. I know the other guy's name, but I don't know. And shout out to Truth and Transparency. She posted this about 2 years ago. But I'm going to finish watching this because we're already at 3:40 and we just noted that this video is still going on. They're interviewing him. We know who this is on duty. And they say that they concluded their detail at 3:52. So I just want to go ahead and see how long this goes. They might have been finished with this and then moved on. So maybe 3:52, you're free to go. I think that's probably when he said, let's see what else she's got in here. That's 3:37. She's just reviewing the video. Hold on. 3:37. So I guess maybe by I would say 3:40 when they said, oh, you're free to go. Let's see. This is 3:34. Why do all these people lie? Why do all these people lie? Hold on a minute. This just happened a long
Situation.
I'm remissive. I just went to go walk and meet him because he said he was coming back. So I was like, I'll go meet up with him.
Okay. Did you say I had to sign with him?
When I got there, yeah.
All right. Let me get your info, my man. What's your last name?
Villa, Villa.
First name?
Hayden. Hayden.
I have no intention of taking you to jail. Middle initial?
D.
I wasn't trying to do anything.
What happened to your head?
I was.
This? Oh, dude, weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Oh, dude, I swear to God, that was 3 weeks ago. Swear on my life.
You're good.
I mean, they can't put you in jail for lying, but I'm just saying, why do all these people keep lying everywhere? Okay, so I think I saw 3:40 was the last time that he said, okay, you're free to go. So 3:40ish, I think that would be a legit time that this was over by. Let's just see. They start walking away. Let's see what happens.
When you say that, okay.
37.
And well, thank you. It's about to go teach our youth. You see something, you see
Yeah,
how like
so
the
it
car
had
was
to have been about 3:40 and a couple of minutes for paperwork. So yeah, that seems legitimate that they checked out at 3:52, right? Okay, that fact checks. So if we go back to this email and you see that, perhaps they already had somebody in mind to arrest, they're looking for Stephen Hain. Well, Stephen Hain is a former graduate professional, like I said, the University of Idaho. He was a research assistant under contract for 7 months. And then all of a sudden he starts cleaning the bathrooms full time. Well, what happened to him? What happened that he went from a research assistant? He's worked at Schweitzer. He was a teaching assistant at Lewis and Clark. He was a volunteer firefighter. What happened to this guy that basically he's not in that professional capacity? Well, in this email, they are looking at him as a suspect. And they said, I hit up about 45 locations looking for the video. Several are promising. If someone returns my call, please forward them to my desk line, my line. And the reason that they ask where this Stephen Hain guy is, later that morning on Saturday, early that morning, the next day on Saturday, it says on 11/22, I took pictures of Hain's car tires and emailed them to the Moscow tip line, also on evidence.com. The car was Jackson Street on the north side of Woodcraft Park. So if you go and you look into these files that are all public information, you can go and see. I'm going to pull it out of the actual document case number that reference these in the emails, and you can see that this case number has pictures of chain of custody for this guy that they eventually arrest. That this guy asked for the police department pictures. They arrest him. He's throwing knives here. He's living in his car homeless, and you can go and look at all those pictures that are available in this file, okay? They've released them that has to do with a couple of incident reports. They have the videos. They have it's wild, because if you go and you look at it, they arrest him and they charge him for some complaint living on someone's property, and they've got pictures of his car. They've got it all. So if you haven't seen those, go and look in that file, because they're too large to be able to put them on the website. So you're going to have to download them on your computer. So it says Hain hides from us in the back of the car and has blackout curtains, and you can't tell if he's inside. So this is a homeless guy that's been looking out after, and they think that for somehow he's related to this, and it's wild. So they had already had someone, and then they say, well, by the way, he had 2 fixed blade knives in his car door. You can see the handles, and the picture is in the case file P0771. And when you go look at these videos and these pictures, I'll show you just a photo if it'll let me share it. Sometimes it won't if I'm in the document myself. So they have a list of all these pictures that this guy is. Let me see if I can screenshot this. This guy's living in his car. They think he's a danger. He might be camping out on somebody else's property. And so they eventually go after him and they arrest him because they think that maybe he's got something to do with this, which is quite strange in my humble opinion. But what do I know? Unless he's done this before, which they don't really say that he has or anything of that nature. So it's just weird that they have other suspects that they're still pursuing, even though they've been given a tip, which is Kohberger's name. They've been given his name at this point, but they're still researching other people, and they still go arrest other people on the 26th of November. So it doesn't make sense that they were still looking for somebody if it was not Brian Kohberger. It doesn't make sense. It's wild. So has anybody had time to look at any of these pictures? Any of these pictures at all? I'll show you a picture of what his car looks like. This is like wild. And then I'll show you a picture of what this guy looks like. Then this officer says, hey, by the way, that Stephen Haynes' mom has actually written a book about Stephen Haynes. She wrote a book about him. And I started digging a little bit more about this guy. He's I mean, nothing special or nothing stuck out right away saying, hey, this guy looks kind of sus. But I guess it was the part that he's living out of his car. He's defining against the government. He's basically saying, I'm not going to live to your standard. But this was a picture of his car in this file. Right? This is a picture that they were, I mean, the body cam is there. The evidence logs are there. I mean, everything is there for you. You can see the evidence log. This is the case number. This is everything involving this case. All the video cameras. They did withhold, obviously, the picture of his driver's license because it has personal information. But everything else they released in this log, in this file, and it shows you right there. So, I mean, I just thought, wow, this is really wild that they were on to this other guy, possibly. And he is probably the one that they were looking at, right? In the evidence log. I mean, it's all there. Right there. There's the evidence log. I'll show you real quick. Right there. And this is involving this case. And there's like 30 pictures in here, like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 videos. It shows you a lot more. And it shows you a picture of the knives in his car. It shows you some other paraphernalia maybe and some other things going on in his car. I mean, it's not like wild, like they knew that this was the guy that they had their mindset on that could be a possibility. You know what I'm saying? It was just like somebody random that they've had problems with before that they said, okay, well, we'll check him out. We'll go take his footprints. We'll go and research this and that and do whatever we need to do because this might be our guy, which it makes sense, right? They're just doing their job. They're surveillancing him. But like, this is a picture of the car they took and some other pictures. And then they show on video who he is and this and that. So that kind of gives you an idea that they weren't just looking at one person. They were looking at other people still, even though when they had BK's name in the books. It says right here, I'll show this. It says right here, it says that Haynes' mom wrote a book and I have a copy if anybody wants it. So of course I went and tried to go look for a book. They don't give his mom's name, but I did a search and nothing. I mean, I was like looking everywhere to see who his mom could have been. Nothing came up. I mean, Haim it's not a common name, but I mean, I searched by title, I searched by name, I searched everywhere. So if you guys find the book, more power to you because I looked all last night and I thought, wow, I want to know what his mom wrote about him. What is it about him? Because he went from being a research assistant, just like Kohberger was a TA in the laboratory, right? In the research area. And then now all of a sudden he is cleaning bathrooms at the university. He went from an assistant, a research assistant, to cleaning bathrooms. So what is that about? Yeah, I saw duct tape cigar. I don't know what that is about the cigarette. So if this guy was being targeted because maybe he had some disability or special issues, he was living homeless in his car. I showed you a picture of his car. He was very disheveled. And then now, were they like looking for another patsy before they found Kohberger? Maybe Kohberger was a better fit to blame it on. Do you see where I'm going with this, guys? Do you understand that they were looking for somebody? Believe me, he was not the only one they were looking at. He was looking at someone else. That is the homeless guy. Yeah, he started watching the video cams. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy seems pretty like legit, logical. He didn't look insane to me. It doesn't look like he was going to go out and murder anybody, but I mean, you can't judge a book by its cover, right? You know what I'm saying? But then again, he didn't seem like he would be the type to harm anyone. He was the one that was arrested for throwing knives at the tree in the park. Yes, but he was on private property, so that's why they finally arrested him. He got a misdemeanor, and he basically says he was not very aggressive. He wasn't. He did not have an aggressive attitude when they arrested him. He was like, dude, I mean, it was more or less that you guys have a blank screen. I see something on my end. I'm showing you the actual emails from Pullman. Do you guys see that? I mean, I'll put it back on stage. I see an email. So it seems like, I mean, if you guys can find the book by Hain on Stephen, it said she wrote a book on Stephen Hain. I wish that the officer would have put in there, hey, by the way, the book's name is X, Y, and Z. Can you guys see anything? Hello? Can you hear me? Screen is black. Can you hear me now? It's just blank. Okay, let me see if I can roll a video and see. Hold on. Can you see the video?
Sure.
I brought it back here. That's what I was trying to do.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. So that is theft.
Yep.
Okay. And for what purpose?
Okay, so you can see that now. You can see the picture of the car. Okay, perfect. And you can hear me. I don't know, maybe it cut out. Who knows? Maybe my Chinese spy is in here. If they are, good morning. Happy Saturday morning. Come and join us. So they had somebody else in mind that they went, and I want to say allegedly, I believe they harassed, because it was really odd that they went and did this to an individual. I mean, he keeps daily journals. They took one from his car. It says, I seized a small one, right here in this document. It says, I seized a small one, and we have it in evidence and more. And in this evidence, you see that they, basically show you his picture of his little black book and the way he was living. So it wasn't like he was hostile or anything of that nature. They just showed that this could be a possible connection, because I don't know why. They just decided he could be a possible connection. Maybe they had more information that they didn't share with the public, but they identified him as maybe being a potential suspect. And yes, there were pictures of the little black book, and they show it, right? This is some of the video or the pictures that were going around a little while ago. They just released these, and here they are. So whoever had a leak, in my humble opinion, the leak came from the Pullman Police Department. Okay, this guy was taking notes, and they just thought he was suspect. And that's what this whole document showing us is that, hey guys, keep this confidential until we actually have proof. Don't put it in any log. Don't start a file. We're going to keep this confidential, and don't call Whitcomb about anything. And that's how these emails start. That's how this document dump starts. And that was just the first email in these crazy set of second emails, because then they go into a Dateline question, right? Dateline emails them. They want information about Kohberger, and if they have anything, it just basically tells you who it is. They send a website inquiry with the IP address number. They say, hey, I'm Kelly. I'm a staffer over at Dateline, a producer, whatever. And I want to be able to get some information, especially about the internship. All right. And then they have the next one. I'm just going to scroll through these real quick. Then you have Scott Sanders from the Fox News station. The next email is an inquiry from KTVB. The next one, I'm going through these really quick. Another one, a local news station. The next email was from another inquiry in regards to the Independent. Then obviously NBC wanted in on this. And you can see by the dates, this is the 23rd. So other people are interested. People gets involved and they say, hey, my name is Corin. I want all this information. And all these other emails that came from People magazine. You can kind of see the dates progressing, right? January, they sent in a couple of right after the other. I want information on all of this. And then it gets to a different case, and they're saying, okay, so somebody's got footage and doesn't know exactly what views the cameras have, but she does their maintenance. They'll be back on Monday, and I told her I'd be back then. So these are all internal emails about this entire case that they were in the process of building. Okay, so this isn't something just out of the blue. This is something that they were working on behind the scenes prior to even the arrest of Kohberger. We know the PCA was written. We know that, right? So I look back at the PCA when it was a document that they said that they were working on as they went. And with that being said, obviously they seriously looked at a lot of information and started building a case. They even went after a man by the name of Indiana Ludwig in this public document release, that they arrested a homeless man separate from the guy that we just saw. He was a homeless man living in the frat house at Washington State University. Initially, 27, was being withheld without bail. And he basically, in a nutshell, was staying on the campus at Pi Kappa Phi. That's what the records show. And he was there for I believe 3 or 4 days. Hold on a minute. He claimed that he didn't cause any damage, but allegedly confessed to stealing a gym bag and gloves, which he unsuccessfully attempted to sell, and a phone charger cord. Records show he allegedly told police he ate food and drink he found in the house. What? I mean, what in the frickety frick? He'd been living in the frat house for 3 days before anybody noticed. I mean, obviously, this was probably Thanksgiving weekend. But the dude was living there and they arrested him for living in the frat house. So that was one of the interesting things that you think they got a problem with the fraternities and anybody out there. Yeah. So there's another one, an email that's after this one. And you can see that this email came from Chris Engel, right? He was the bigwig over there. He sends it out to a couple of police officers and he said, FYI, Moscow Police Department, Corporal Bet Payne or someone else may pick up item 1017391 at some point, Chris. I'm like, okay, well, what is that referring to? 1017391. There's nothing in the file that I see in regards to this number. Nothing. Was that an evidence that was picked up, or was that something that they were trying to keep hush hush? What was this number? It doesn't go with anything. It doesn't coincide with anything that I've found yet. So I wrote that number down, take a screenshot, because I'm trying to figure out what is this in reference to. There's a ton of cases in here. Nothing references to this number, which I think is probably an evidence number. And it says that somebody may come and pick up this item. So to me, it says, okay, it's probably evidence. But what evidence, if anything? Never said. Never said. So it's just like, wow, these people are all over the map. They're only releasing half of the information, just a portion of it, right? So that one I'm going to table until I find out what this was in regards to item number, yada, 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 right? So that's one of the ones that I'm going to keep on my radar. Then we come down to the next email, and this is just somebody with ABC who wanted to know more. I'm going to scroll through these real fast because they are kind of just a lot of them. Hold on. Let me share this one. It was just wild. Yeah, I know. I got to share my screen. Hold on. Okay. And this is the one where there's employee info. See, here's the deal with these. And this is the one that I kept saying early on, way early on. Is Kohberger an informant? Did he take a position with the police department to do some special projects undercover, off the radar, maybe to solve internal issues, internal organization issues? And the reason that I said that early on was because of the fact that Opping North, the guy who was cheating and had a mistress that worked there, I had a feeling that when they replaced him with Gary Jenkins, that Gary Jenkins may have hired somebody on the side to do investigative work that could lead with the corruption of the police department. That was my original speculation and theory. Okay. So I know a lot of you are listening in, doing other things, cleaning and baking and all that good stuff. I know, but stay with me here. If Kohberger had been hired on to do some special work, did that lead him to perhaps agreeing that if things got tough or really far out and he got way too in deep undercover, that he would have to go and be thrown under the bus? Is that possible? Type a 1 if you think that is possible in this case. Type a 1. Type a 2 if you don't think that could happen in a case. Like deep undercover. Like I have to be ridiculed in public, deep undercover. Yeah, it is possible. It is possible if it was to protect national security. If it was to protect the individuals. But see, here's the problem with this. because of the documents, because of the court records, because they had him do an evaluation, because he factually has scans that show levels of autism. So you can't fake that shit, guys. You can't fake it. Now, if that's the case and they've done studies on him, and Steve G says, oh, they just want to keep him to do studies on him, is that why Steve G said that? I know there's a lot of Phoenix fireballs being dropped in the chat, which is awesome. Keep dropping them. So that is a possibility that he did work special projects, because they have blanked out this Google Calendar. And does anybody remember the emails of when Kohberger, they released an early email? They released an early email. Yes, he was diagnosed possibly autism young. Now, keep in mind, I mean, honestly, every single year, I have a son with autism. He was diagnosed at age, well, he was pre-diagnosed at age 3.5, and he was finally fully diagnosed at 5 through extensive testing. And every year after year after year, I have to go back and have him, an update so that he could receive certain services. Most people have that. Okay, especially under 18. So it's not unusual to have to go back under 18 to keep recertifying for services, or if they need something special. Now, the email in here, the employee, is redacted because it looks like it says the Google Calendar on behalf of employee info and Gary Jenkins. And the way they got around in not having to share this is if only he was think about it, if he was an employee, then that would be for fact. He would be covered by the law that the attorneys were talking back and forth. Hey, before you release anything, make sure that you run it by the city attorney. And that would be the reason why Gary Jenks said, oh yeah, shoot, I can't answer those questions until we are advised by our attorneys. Because they couldn't release information to the general public at that time, which makes total sense. So it's possible that he is, in fact, or he was working for them, found something out, and they threw him under the bus because he knows too much. And that does happen too. Okay? And let me just say this. For the people out there throwing me freaking shade, I have a son with autism. Again, he was pre-diagnosed at 3.5. The doctor said, let's go ahead and just sit back and let's see what happens. And then we'll go a little bit further when he gets into school. And I was like, okay, I don't even know anything about this. So I went to Autism One in Chicago. It was a big conference. Big people's names there. They helped me. I met John Gray. Yes, Dr. John Gray. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. I met with him. I have been good friends with him for a very long time. We don't see each other as much as we used to because he's gotten older. I've gotten older, but he helped me with meal plans for my son. He helped me with protocols and regimens for my son. I was open to anything alternative. I didn't want to go the medicine route because he also has ADHD. And let me tell you some of these things that we're going to talk about in the Autism Live with the panel. Let me tell you, I was in a business and he was part of that company. And when you meet somebody that you just jive on a level that you understand, amazing things come out of those conversations. And for those of you who do not believe me, I don't ever have to show you proof. But you know what I will do? I'll show you how stupid that you are to make videos about me, to put my son out there on social media when he's under 18, because I don't even do it. And if I do it, that doesn't give you the right to take my kid's picture, make horrible insinuations, allegations, slander, defame me, when I can throw this right back in your face. You made a video yesterday about this. And you know what? Every year prior to school beginning, I go and I take my son and I get an updated certification letter. And here is written proof. So now that I have written proof that you've slandered me, you've libeled me, you've made videos about my child that you don't believe has special needs, this is disgusting behavior. And this is what the public has done to Brian Kohberger. You're doing exactly what you did to my son. The media has done to Brian Kohberger. And I just want to say this. Respectfully, eat shit. If you can't say anything nice and you don't have proof, don't say anything at all. You can speculate. That's the freedom of speech. But I'm here to tell you to knock it off. Knock it off. It's making you look crazy, stupid, mean, hateful, and exactly who you are. Now, nobody needs to go verbally vomit on this individual. It's not worth your time or your energy. Make one more video about me, slander me like you've done for however long. I've already filed paperwork with my attorney after I saw your video yesterday. You're doing exactly to me and my son what the media is doing to Kohberger because of his disability that you do not believe. Every year before school, I get this certified so he can have the benefit in his IEP to have appropriate accommodation, like more testing time, breaks because he gets fidgety, focus, medication, therapy. So anytime anyone questions my integrity and my truthfulness and my honesty, you know, baby, I'm coming with receipts all the time. That's my rant in regards to the media has done to Brian Kohberger. That's the rant what an individual is doing to me and my son. He has been diagnosed since age 5. Do you think I wanted to accept this diagnosis? No, but I did everything I possibly could for my son. When I see Brian Kohberger's mother in the courtroom and how distraught she is, that maybe somebody has taken her child, thrown him under the bus, ran over him with the semi, and then back over him again, and public ridicule, that makes my heart break for this mother who's done everything she can because her son is awkward, because he factually is diagnosed with autism. So whoever is telling me that I'm gaslighting a whole community, baby, this community has been a part of me. I actually have a daughter who's 33 that is on the spectrum. So I've been in the game much longer than you. I should understand and know exactly what I'm doing. There ain't no room to gaslight anyone in this country, in this planet, in this universe. So there it is. I can identify with this situation. Why am I so passionate? Because I've lived it. The individual that continues to do this actually had my son arrested and thrown in juvenile detention. The officers there were like, he doesn't belong here. Autism is not for someone with special needs that didn't do anything wrong. So, with that being said, I want to go back and switch gears and go back to possibly, was Kohberger an employee with the Pullman Police Department? I believe he was. In my humble opinion, I believe he was passionate about solving crimes, about getting into the minds of criminals, how to think, how they understand. Because you know what? Nobody understands him. I've lived this with my son. Nobody understands their awkwardness. Nobody understands their thought processes. They are intelligent people. And if you have not seen the reports, they are on our community beautiful website, Justice for All. All of his autism diagnosis paperwork, court filings are there. And why are they there? Because people need to start understanding, and the media should not be able to discriminate against people with factual disabilities. He's not creepy. He's awkward. And for the women who do not understand, especially the professional women that said, oh, he's creepy and awkward and blocked the doorways and this and that. There is no, okay, I'm going to give you an example. And the reason I'm going to do this right now, because I think it's appropriate. I lived in Japan for almost 5 years, guys. Okay. In Japan, there is no physical, what do I want to say? You get on a train, especially a bullet train, and you are surrounded by people and you were huddled together walking, like you're squinched in arms and you're moving around like one of those little how do I want to explain it? Those little play school dolls that are the little people, the people that they're around, and you're all huddled together and you're moving together. There's no personal boundaries in a foreign country. And this is the example I'm trying to share with you. That is the same way with autism. They'll hang on, they'll hold on for dear life. There's no personal boundary with some kids. Now, not all kids, because they're different. They look so different. One could be one in another way. One could be another way. They're so different. So what I'm saying is that when people don't understand personal boundaries, and this is something I had to work with my own son about, personal boundaries, right? It's funny when you read a professional student or teacher or assistant that has no background knowledge of what autism is, and then they come and they say someone's creepy. Someone didn't give me the space I needed to go out the door. He would stand behind and watch, maybe because he couldn't be a part of the class or didn't know how to interact. He graded too hard. Maybe he did think that, hey, I'm a higher intelligence because I think differently, but I'm grading you harsher because I don't think like you and you don't think like me. Yeah, they came forward. They interviewed some people. People called and said, he's creepy. They logged it in as a tip. It's rotten, especially in these universities where they are, exactly like someone just said, privileged. What, ugly people can't be smart? Ugly people can't be successful? Ugly people can't be in charge? Is that what they're trying to tell us? The beautiful people can only be in charge? Well, guys, I'm not beautiful. Oh, I am in some ways, but I'm not like aesthetically gorgeous, drop dead 10 and belong on the front page of a magazine because that's acceptable. Yeah, no. Is that what we're trying to teach our kids? And the rise in autism in this country, I didn't want to get into this today, but I just felt it was appropriate. So going back to him possibly working, yes, I believe it is a true possibility because they are trying to hide something. What it is, don't know. But I'll go to the next email and we'll just keep scrolling on down because this is telling you a bigger picture. This is the fine line that our society is walking to, where they can pigeonhole someone. Because, see, something about autism a lot of people don't know, and like I said, we'll get into it, is they are less likely to create a violent crime. And Kohberger had no history of violence. None. That was the agenda. They wanted everyone to believe he was weird and awkward. Instead of talking about the autism, they painted him as a quadruple homicide unaliver. That's what they did. They tried him in the media, and he would have never gotten a fair trial with our justice system the way it is. And I'm just telling you, this is not acceptable social behavior. The agenda they're pushing, I believe, in my humble opinion, is an agenda that they've been pushing because something big is coming in regards to the autism community. They don't want to accept people who are different. And look at this. This email on January 9th, after he was arrested, this is just standard, right? All the requests for Brian Kohberger, they're going to hold for 3 years. This was sent out in the middle of, getting ready for a trial. And he's got all these requests for 3 years. 3 years that they've been trying to pin this on a guy who is factually innocent. The next one is the same thing. All emails, the assistantship. Now, let me tell you something I've learned over my lifetime. Yes, I'm 55. I have a little bit of wisdom under my belt. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother of 3. God, I never thought I'd say that. But I've talked about the game of telephone before. I've talked about rumors. And what I'm saying is that someone dropped a hint that he may have been working with Pullman Police Department. So now they're getting bombarded with emails and inquiries and the media asking Gary Jenkins, is Kohberger an employee of yours? And he can't give any quotes or say anything in this article without the attorneys being present or advised. So sometimes when you hear something like, I want all the records for his assistantship, you got to know there's some truth to that. Because a rumor is usually half false, half true. So was he really an employee, or was he hired to do special projects off the books? You know what I'm saying, guys? Somebody hire him like a third-party contractor contract, or an entity that basically you do contract work with, or under work, something of that nature. Is that even possible? And yeah, contractors do it all the time. I believe it is possible. Sergeants and detectives, they work third party. Absolutely. I think it is possible. And then all these emails that start popping up are kind of redundant because more people are catching on. More news agencies want this information. Then we get down to the Bolo, like I shared last night. This one was shocking because if you look, according to the Moscow PD and FBI, he is saying according to them, not they, the Pullman, are looking. We don't know what happened behind the scenes because obviously somebody got his license plate from the actual facility he lived in. Okay? So they're saying, according to Moscow and the FBI, we're looking for a 2012, 2013 Hyundai Elantra that is light colored, white, tan, or silver. So they weren't just looking for a white vehicle. And check out the dates. Timestamps are everything. This was November 22nd, right after the unalivings took place. give or take a week, right? A week or two. They were looking for not just a white, they were looking for a tan or a silver. Please Bolo for that vehicle. Do not run the plates through Whitcomb. Run it through your MDC. Do not discuss what you're doing over the radio. Do not ask Whitcomb to do anything regarding this matter. Keep it hush hush. And do not discuss this information with anyone outside this building. That was a direct order, and it was marked confidential. They didn't want it recorded or documented, but yet here we are today, years later, and it's become public information, just like most operations, just like most corrupt cop people. And yes, they have the ability to do confidential things. Yes, they have the ability to hide certain things from the public. Yes, most people in these positions have somewhat immunity, not fully. But they felt it was not necessary to warn anyone publicly until they released it to the public. They didn't want anyone to talk about it outside of the department. Then you've got the standard boring emails about let's go and meet. This is Jennifer. I'm an investigator working with Ann Taylor in the Brian Kohberger case. They wanted to speak with them. This is the third party investigator. She's a criminal investigator. Okay. Jen, is it Genuine? Jen Genuine. And obviously her job was to go and investigate exactly what happened in this case that some people weren't being privy to, right? Here's the actual email. She wants to know regarding the involvement, and this was sent to the upper Chris Engel. Anne was copied in on it. This was May in 2024, getting prepared for trial. She works at the Kootenai County Public Defender Office. Third party. I'm going to see if she's worked on any other cases in regards to any other criminal cases. I want to see what her background is real quick. And since this is a live dig, let's do it. Are you guys in for it? Let's see. Client services. She's in Kootenai County. Senior criminal investigator. I don't see any other cases that she worked on. I don't see a CV. She's not on LinkedIn. She must have worked. She's worked with Anne in the past, so it's probably somebody that she's comfortable working with. And let me just take a look at what this is, and then I'll share it. I mean, she's legit, right? So, and it looks like Anne trusts her, and she is part of the investigative team. So here is county office. Hold on a minute. Senior investigator. So it looks like this is the public information that's on file. She's been employed probably since 2018, 2017, 2016. Yep, she's an investigator in the criminal. Okay, so she's legit. She checks out. So she wants to meet with the detectives. wants to do a report for Ann Taylor. And then the next email, they sent her a message saying, yeah, are you available for a phone call today? This is Thad Sullivan. We talked about him yesterday. He's the city attorney, about what they were going to do about the release of information, all these requests, and he had to ask for an attorney input. Then we've got more people asking, and this is just a slew of information on public social media. They just wanted to know, right? Everyone in the news wanted to know if they worked for him, and the time frame was right after he was arrested. So all of these emails, there's just a slew of them. I mean, I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, CBS, FOIA requests, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, People Magazine, media inquiries, that email that's been floating around about the whistleblower status. Now, I did a background check on this guy, and this guy is like, I just have to say, he's got some issues. Okay. I did a verification and a check on him, and he's got some serious issues. Believe him if you want. He's emailed everybody in his mother this email that everybody's talking about. Yeah, something's not right. Let's just leave it at that. And that's all I'll say about this email, because people are saying it's valid and it's this and that. It's just wild. We'll leave it there. And then again, I don't know why they added this to the file a couple of times. Here's this email again about this. People are sending this email all over. What is this item number? 1017391. I mean, I've tried to find out what it is. I'm going to keep digging on this. I want to know what this is now at this point. What is that item number? Has anybody seen this? Is it the actual weapon? Is it? That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if they actually have something and it doesn't coincide with Kohberger. It's no smoking gun. So basically, this is the report follow-up. They just basically send it out to the whole patrol unit, not to contact Whitcomb. This is a follow-on to that email, basically from someone else saying, yeah, okay, we'll follow that. We'll do what you say. And another one from the crime investigator that's trying to narrow down a time to meet with them, which it seems like maybe they're just really super busy, but they're still trying to get a time narrowed down to where she could meet with these guys to find out what's going on in this case, right? Then you have a bunch of other news inquiries from CBS. They have a draft for the statement about the conference with Kohberger that's coming up. This is a draft that was provided. Please do not distribute. It was an internal document. And basically saying that on behalf of Pullman, yada, 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 and that they just basically, he completed his first semester as a PhD student in the WSU criminal justice program in December. So most of these emails that are in this document are, I mean, just, I don't really put a lot of like weight into these emails. The only thing that was really eye-catching and opening to me, and you can go see all these media requests, it's just a barrage of the Daily Beast and NBC, all these other, things, and then collection of certain photos. And the one thing that I thought was interesting was that there was an email, and I'll share it with you real quick. There was an email, and this was actually the search of department cell phones. I mean, they were getting to the point where on March 6, 2023, it's come to our attention that Ring Central IT is no longer able to search department issued cell phones for text messages in response to records requests. They were basically trying to block that process. Okay. And for some reason, there was a period of time that they couldn't have searched certain documents, which I thought was really odd, like it was taken offline or something of that nature. And they were just saying that they were working on it, and that this was the affidavits that they had to be able to search. And Jonathan Richards asked for these, a couple of other agencies, a couple of other news people, Deidre Smith, which Kevin Fixler of the News, and, you know, all these media that we now know who have put all this fake BS out, they just wanted to be able to get more information. And whatever information they got, they pretty much twisted it, right? And that's what it looks like to me, in my humble opinion. So, I mean, you can go through all these emails. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. So if you guys want, we can actually chit chat about something that you want to talk about. So drop it below if there's something that you want to see or talk about in the next 5, 10, 15 minutes. There was nothing much except for a lot of just gibberish back and forth. And, you know, Brian Enton asked for a couple of things and wanted all these records and photos, and basically didn't get anywhere, except for one call that I thought was interesting was from a gentleman. He gave his name, and he said that he was really hard to understand, but he said he was thinking, what if Kohberger threw things off Red Wolf Bridge? So let me bring it up. I don't know why this guy would call and say it's a Lewiston Clarkson. It's a pretty big bridge, and it has the history of the bridge. It spans between the Snake River and Washington and Idaho, and it was opening in 1899. And then, you know, obviously I went and got a current picture of the bridge, and this bridge is pretty big. Let me just share this with you. Let me see if I can share the screen. I mean, it's a pretty big bridge, guys. It's a bridge, and I'm sure this bridge has some type of camera system set up to where you're not just gonna, you know, get out and stop, because it looks like a two-way bridge and it could possibly hold up. This picture was April of 23, and this picture was talking about temporary closure. So who knows why they closed it temporarily. But that bridge looks like a two-way bridge, and it would be a little bit difficult to stop, even if you stopped at 5 a.m. If this is a connection and this is a major thoroughway for people to get across, it's going to be kind of hard to stop on a bridge. So I don't know why somebody would send in an email saying, hey, you know, maybe check this bridge. Most bridges today do have cameras installed so that you can actually see what's going on the bridge, especially for emergency services on a two-way bridge. So this guy called in. He said he called and directed him to the FBI, but he wanted to talk to an actual person, so he called the police. Yeah, and you're right, Saltzilla. There's cameras everywhere nowadays. It's not like, I mean, they're everywhere just for purposes, for safety, for who knows, you know, they can tap into certain things. You know, they even took, like I said earlier, somebody asked me about Stephen Hain. They actually took his footprints. At one time, they said there was no snow around, no footprints, but he checked his car. There was footprints on the side. He took pictures. And then what his tread definition was, and the shoes, you know, the shoe prints compare, uploaded the evidence. So those pictures are all in there. You can go and look. You can go look at the the video where they arrest him and they do all this stuff. So, I mean, it's all there. Other than that, it's just a bunch of other media inquiries. There's nothing that I pulled out like the day before from the first set of emails. So both of those files you can reach by the website. You can download them at your leisure, read through them. If you catch something of interest, besides, I want to find out what that item number is because I'm very curious. They don't specify finding any item number anywhere in these documents, like the other Moscow police departments where they say, hey, by the way, we've located the 3 different knives, but maybe one of them isn't Kohberger's, right? So I haven't found anything that is the smoking gun. I'm still looking, guys. I'm looking to understand why they targeted him, unless he knew too much or he is an informant working undercover. And honestly, that he is just part of a dangerous game that they've thrown him in because he knows too much, or they feel he is a danger to somebody that he may have information on, because I believe if he was hired secretly, he was hired on to solve some massive corruption or crime in the area. And that is possible. That is very possible. Drop your thoughts below. Do you think that that could be possible? I mean, the original Bolo doesn't make sense either. They wanted not to distribute this to anyone. Don't share this with anyone. It's not the actual vehicle, guys. It's not the actual vehicle. And they saw it on the South Highway in Lewiston. Okay, Dine. What's your theory, honey? I want to know. I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. What's your theory on why he was a target? I love your picture, by the way. I see your fur babies. Yep. When they got his number from being a area on that cop stop. Yeah, they got his number. We are so interested in your theory. Let us hear it. Throw it below. Why was he a target? Was he an easy, manipulative target? Or was it just because they figured that they would back him up into a corner? He probably did look better. He probably did look better on paper to say he did this. Because the other guy that was homeless, Stephen Hain, remember the guy that we just talked about? He possibly was not the guy they wanted to make him look like a homeless man did this because, you know, homelessness is a problem in America. And if they said, oh, a homeless guy did that, then everybody would be freaked out at every single homeless person living in their car that didn't believe in the government, that believed that a different way. But they had to make this guy look like the everyday creepy guy, going to school, fitting in with society, and they had to target him. That was my thought process. All right, Dina, where'd you go, honey? She's got a theory. I want to hear it. Throw it below. Writing down, I don't think so. This is weird. I got those vibes the very first time I saw the video. I'm no expert, but I know after having 4 kids, when someone is lying, you develop that like sense, that BS sense. You've got that sensor and it goes off. I still fully believe the professor was in on picking him up. Okay, Dina, he was working on his PhD, did his own research on crime, and he met Molly and her boyfriend. Possible. I believe that's possible. Anything's possible. He was writing a research paper. He had to find criminals to do his study. I mean, what dangerous What dangerous possible research could he have been doing? And please look at tribal council land near that bridge. Police has no jurisdiction over tribal council or land. Not all. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. Absolutely. People are looking into the. Yeah, I know. I know. I know. It could be psychosis. It could have been something that she remembered, that she believed or dreamt. We know that Molly has ties. Possible. I believe there may be a possible connection. And like I said, if he did, it was third party. Third party connections. Third party. I agree. I agree. That is a very plausible theory. As more information comes out, I'm sure they'll hide the truth, but you can put the dots together. I mean, even, and I'll say this, even if Dylan was not involved, who cleaned up? Who cleaned up? Who cleaned up? No one's messing with Dylan. We're just reading reports. Yes, the site is Justice for FOURALL, and you can get all the information. You know what? She has a history with knowing Bill Thompson and possible a confidential informant, you know? And this is so sad. When these people get in stuck situations and they don't want criminal records, they don't want to do jail time, the district attorney, they use these people and then they discard them. They don't care what happens to them. They don't. It's just I have a former CI that's willing to come on and share her experience, you know? And the bait that they throw them, they don't realize the consequences, because it's one thing to know you're involved, but when something goes sideways, they're going to get your family involved. It's terrible. And just like the other day, I showed you, let me show you something. Since we're on a live div, let me show you something real quick that I picked up on. And, you know, I've shared this before. I'm not going to share this exact video, but I'm going to share a different video. And I want you to see what I see, not because I believe this is what happened, but I want you to see something in a much different light. Okay? Maddie Mogan, to me, in my humble opinion, I'm no professional. Maddie Mogan, to me, seemed like a very low-key, humble-ish type of individual. This is just my opinion only. And something that stuck out to me is that I'm going to show you what I thought. Now, guys, there's no blood on Dylan's wall. That is not blood on Dylan's wall. I explained what Amito Black was in my video yesterday live, and we watched the video twice. I can throw up another one for you in a minute, but I want you to hear this. Maddie Mogan seemed like she was the girl next door. Sweet, playful, friends. You know, she likes to cook, party, have fun, and no disrespect. But in my humble opinion, Maddie was closer. She was friends, and it looked like she got along with Bethany and Kaylee better than anyone else in the house. Okay? This is just my observation, my opinion. And I believe that Bethany got roped into something that she did not want to be a part of. She called and initiated a call to Dylan. Remember, that call came from her first, saying, Dylan, did you see what's going on? And that is why they pursued Bethany, because they believed Bethany had exculpatory evidence that would exonerate Brian Kohberger. But that would mean that Bethany had to turn against Dylan. In my humble opinion of what I've seen. Now, with that being said, she basically fought coming back to Idaho, dropped her studies, attended in Nevada, and she's like, you are not going to drag me into this bullshit. Whatever happened, I'm not part of it. And when you see her pull up in the new video and someone's already called the police from her phone, somebody had her phone. And she may have come back from wherever she went or moved her car or something, parked it where the officer said, hey, is this your car? And was like, I really don't want to say anything on camera. I'm not going to speak much. Let Dylan throw her own self under the bus. Okay? That's my observation. You can go back and you can look at Maddie's TikToks and see she was liked by her friends.
Pulling out the coupe at the lot, Tony fuck 12, fuck SWAT.
Right?
Last night I told you I loved you.
Woke up, blamed it on the vodka. I genuinely thought I was dying.
Okay, she was playful. She
My
was
monster
fun.
from his slab began to rise.
Now, I'm going to go and I'm going to scroll back just a little bit.
Suddenly,
People are saying that those pictures are not the counters. And it drives me insane when people can't logically go to a simple picture of the actual crime scene photos to see if it's the counters. And this is definitely the counters, guys. Okay, this is the counter. And this is what I meant yesterday when I shared in my live. I showed the video twice. I'm going to show you a different video today so that you do understand what this is. This is a different video on how they process amino black. I want to share this with you. Remember the counters you just saw. I'll put the picture back up. Now, amido black is one of the many crime scene chemical applications. They can use different things. Individual examiners should have training and practice prior to using any chemical process or procedure on evidence.
The application of amido black on evidence, as seen here, is a very quick, strong contrasting process suitable for fingerprints, footwear impressions, anything that is left behind in blood or trace amounts of blood. It has a very strong fixing capability, meaning it's going to bond your impression to the surface that it's on, even in a very non-adhesive surface such as this, which is tile, where if you used another reagent that would rinse your bloody impression away, amido black has the capability of fixing that impression and making it permanent on that surface. The addition of high contrast makes it a very suitable application for any evidence or suspected evidence. As you can see, the rich detail is clear, separated. Bloody impressions do not run, so it would be a favored reagent to use for all your lab and crime scene applications. The versatility of Amido Black allows you to put it in many different application forms. You can put it in a spray bottle, a commercial sprayer. You can submerge your evidence and rinse it. Really, any application is going to develop your evidence and not rinse it away because of its characteristics of fixing and enhancing the blood. The versatility of this reagent makes it practical for just about any crime scene application where you need to develop suspected blood impressions and fix them to the surface. Thank you for viewing Amido Black.
Okay, so that is basically what I was saying. When you look at these crime scene pictures, which I will bring up, look at the counters. And when you see that, you have to say, okay, what are they trying to accomplish here? Are they looking for blood or are they looking for fingerprints? Which one do you guys think that they were looking for in this picture? In this picture right here. What do you think they were specifically looking for? I'll wait a second. I'll let you guys comment. Okay, so my comment would be both. That's what my comment would be. So he specifically said that they are looking for any blood and prints. Now, if somebody was injured in that house and they touched certain things, it would be left on counters if they indeed cleaned the crime scene. Okay? But if you clean a crime scene and there's any proteins left, blood would appear. If there were any proteins left, blood would appear, and also fingerprints would appear. And what happens is it turns a darker color than the solution. They've applied the solution on this counter. They've washed it down. That's why it's running. That's not blood running down. Okay? That is not blood running down the walls. That is not blood. That is the solution that has been washed off to see if there's any residue left. Now, on there, it does look like the darker patches are evidence, whether it be DNA, blood proteins, it coagulates. It's going to be there. The darker specks on that counter is where possibly blood was. If somebody ran to the kitchen and decided to wash their hands, it dripped all over the kitchen. The running part on the bottom of those drawers is not blood. It is actually the solution that they have washed off to expose the darker portions of the potential prints or blood. So when you see the crime scene photos, right? I'll bring those up real quick. When you see those crime scene photos, from what I understand, remember, I am no expert, but when you see the crime scene photos, you automatically think, in my mind, I automatically think, is this evidence? And of course it's evidence, because we know from the fact that they said there are 3 male unknown DNA, 3 male, and possibly 2 female that are not the victim's DNA that were found. Now, that doesn't mean that it's saying that they know who these individuals are. That place could have been riddled with DNA from many people, and they took a lot of people's DNA and they ruled those people out because they may have been in the house for a legitimate reason but did not commit these crimes. But the people that we've not been able to identify the DNA are still not identified because either they have not cooperated or they didn't give us a sample. We don't know. I hope that makes sense, because a lot of people are talking about this wall picture. This picture, to me, in my humble opinion, in my observation, it looks to me like what they've done is selectively give us pictures that show the amido back that was applied and washed down. It is not blood. It is the chemical that has been washed down from the wall up into the ledge area. They probably, in my humble opinion, applied this to the ledge. And the solution that they washed off to identify that if there were prints or blood on the banister, on the railing, is they've washed the chemical off and it has dripped just like it did in the evidence pictures in the living room. Everyone's talking about all this blood on Dylan's wall. It's not Dylan's wall. It's the floor steps landing up to the second, from the second to the third floor. That is where you see it running down. And this is an example on the opposite side of this wall going down is where you see the amido black on this side of the wall of the banister rolling down. And I'll show you if I can find the picture real quick, I'll show you that picture. So it's not necessarily blood dripping from the wall. It's where they applied the solution and you can see it dripping because they've washed it off to expose if there was any prints or blood. I'm trying to get to that picture. Hold on. This is the picture that I'm talking about. I'll zoom in to see if you can see. Dylan's, this is the room. This goes into the kitchen. This is Dylan's rooms on this left side of the picture. On the right side of the wall going up the stairs, which I just showed you, is where they've applied this solution on the railing, on the banister. They washed the solution off the banister and it has dripped onto the wall. That is not blood on this wall. Okay, that is the solution that they have washed off of the banister that went down to the wall. Are we all on the same page here? I don't want to, I'm thinking logically. I'm not saying everybody, oh my God, this is blood. This is not blood. Okay? You have to think about this logically. They did have blood shown to be left on the rail. They did test and they picked up blood on the rail. So that means the individual that was upstairs that committed the crime left their blood DNA on the sheet that was found. And if you guys are questioning that, go to this beautiful website once again. There is a document in here that's very powerful. You open up that document right here. It basically says that the blood DNA left on the sheath was not Brian Kohberger's. It says this in pure English. They give you details and graphs and all these other stuff that it was not his DNA. It was his DNA transferable touch, not contact, on the knife sheath. On the knife sheath, it was his DNA. They had the reason that it was ran through and it was duplicated and there was some issue with it. So the judge threw that portion out of the tip, not the actual DNA, but how they got the tip. So in looking at these pictures, you know, you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to think about it logically. Is somebody telling you the truth? Well, let's figure it out, right? They're going to get the main headlines that they want to get. They're going to get the viewership, the clicks and the likes and the views, because it's about money. The old way of the news is old. It doesn't work anymore. Not a lot of people watch television. Not a lot of people watch the old news. It's more streamed. You've seen in the last few years, everybody's gone on social media, the news, entertainment, rag magazines. We used to call them Entertainment Weekly or whatever you want to call it. Now it's the Daily Beast, the Sun, the Daily Mail. All those have, the National Enquirer used to be a print paper that used to run down to the, you know, people had them delivered to their houses. They were so popular. Now it's something different. It's all on social media. And that is why they want to have a headline to make you click on it and read it. Even without reading it, they'll just feed you a bunch of BS. That's the way it is. Yeah, we can't trust the old news. It's like social media. You can't almost trust social media anymore. It's been ingrained in our heads so deep that it's very hard to trust people. It is. I agree. They can't brainwash us as easy because now people are logically thinking, let me check this out. Let me see if I can fact check this or find any resources. Now, I want to get back to this video real quick because this video tells us a lot. Maddie Mogan only had so many videos up, right? Every single video, fun, dancy, flirty, funny, sarcastic, beautiful, partying, outdoors, Friday night games with their friends, her boyfriend, her love, Murphy. She loved Murphy. She played little games with him. She cooked. She was friendly. But this last video does not fall in line with all these other video, guys. This video does not go with this. I feel like I'm playing a game. Which one doesn't go with this, right? Which one doesn't go with this? And this video still stuck in my head that this video does not go with this scenario. And it was just made, you know, the Halloween party or whatever they were doing. This one doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It seems like Maddie is trying to tell us that this person is in fact what the audio says. This is coming from Maddie. I don't think this was a joke. I think this was personal. I think that before she was unalived, that something was going down in that house. There had said to have been some arguments. Something was happening. People weren't happy. There was something that happened in October with Kaylee. Her dad had said she moved out. She was staying away from there. Were they felt threatened? Was somebody injured in the house prior to the unalivings? What happened? I know that Kaylee went and reported something. What happened that we're missing that piece of information? It seems, in my humble opinion, revenge, anger, third party, someone who wanted to protect Dylan, that maybe Dylan was being belittled or bullied, or perhaps somebody was putting her down. I don't know. These are guesstimations from what I'm seeing. I believe there was conflict existing. And remember, they had all just moved in August of 2022, something new for the house. So you've got August, September, October, something happens in October, November. So within 3 months, they're dead. 3 months. 3 months. I mean, all those women in one house. You have different personalities, different lifestyles, different backgrounds. And I'm no expert, like I said, but Maddie and Kaylee were against the use of drugs. It looks like maybe Xana and Ethan or somebody visiting them used them in her room. They were there. They were in the reports. Guys, I'm ex-military. I know what mean girls are. If you think this is mean, times it by 10, get beat up, blanket parties in the military, get exempted from certain activities, get shunned by people who didn't accept you. I mean, think about it. There's worse organizations out there than frats and sororities. Much worse. But in my humble opinion, something happened prior to this incident. Something happened that nobody's speaking about, but in the reports, it has some history. Was somebody sexually assaulted in this house? Was somebody harmed? What happened? Is that part of this? Is that part of this? Why is there a new shower curtain? I'm going to leave you with this, and then I got to run. We're going to watch this video one more time, as many times as I played it. I'm going to show you something that'll be like, holy shit, what if that happened? All speculation. I have a disclaimer. Not here to slander, defame, or hurt anyone. This is my observation. You can take it for what it's worth. Let's watch it.
You fucking asshole! You fucking liar! You fucking manipulator!
Don't wear that outfit again.
I get it basic everything. You fucking asshole! You fucking liar! You fucking manipulator!
Don't wear that outfit again.
This is the original video.
You fucking asshole! You fucking liar! You fucking manipulator!
Don't wear that outfit again.
I get it basic everything. Cook a bit, fall it down, and bit sit on my wrist. They said it was sunny, let's give us some cheese. I told them this fuck, I'm already rich. She did me up, I got a talker for really. I told her I got it. And not to be cut in the belly, I say blue diamonds. You fucking asshole! You fucking liar! You fucking manipulator!
Don't wear that outfit again.
I get it basic everything. Cook a bit, fall it down, and bit sit on my wrist. They said it was sunny, let's give us some cheese. I told them this fuck, I'm already rich. She did me up, I got a talker for really. I told her I got it. And not to be cut in the belly, I say blue diamonds.
Why would somebody need to buy a new shower curtain when you're talking about the movie American Psycho? This is a real story. These are real people. Real court documents. Things within this house didn't seem right. Drop your thoughts. Leave them below. As always, be well. Go through the pictures. Go through the documents. Look for yourself. Something was not right at 1122 address. Why would somebody need to buy a new shower curtain? The liner looks new too, guys. Go through the pictures. All the way through the pictures. Ask yourself, what's this on the banister? On the railing? We only got to see some of the crime scene photo pictures that did use Amido black. Just a few. Few dusting pictures. Few kitchen pictures. They didn't show us everything, because they don't want us to know everything just yet. Would you be able to handle the truth in this case if they told you the truth? Think about that. It's wild, but anything's possible in this case. So, with that being said, enjoy yourselves. I'll be back later with an episode for talking about Brian Kohberger's car. Yep, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into the evidence they have against Brian Kohberger. So stay tuned. And as always, you amazing people, thank you so much for the donation, Holly Master. I saw it. Happy Master, sorry. Thank you so much, guys. As always, be well.
Essentially convicted in the media. You don't have to read but a few articles to see how negative they are about him. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Brian's innocent. Your Honor, Brian is innocent.